everybody. This is Adam with So Is Your Podcast, and I'm sitting with, I really hope I don't pronounce your name wrong, Michaela.
Michaela, yes.
Okay. Zannou?
Zannou.
Zannou? Okay, sorry
Yes.
about that. Should have asked before I recorded.
Oh, that's
And
fine.
Rob Alicea.
Yeah, it's Alicea, but actually I've told people, excuse me, pretty much my whole life. I'm like, I just say Alicia like Silverstone, and then people get it right away. So,
All right.
but yeah, close enough.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
These two are behind a new series called Couples Therapy. Couples Therapy, Michaela, this was your passion project?
Yes, so it's a project I created. I wrote it, I produced it, and I starred in it. And it's about a couples therapist that treats neurotic New York couples while her own marriage is falling apart, and she can't follow her own advice to save her own failing marriage.
What sparked the idea for this?
Well, it's kind of inspired by real events. I mean, obviously, I'm not a couples therapist or a therapist for that matter, but I was just in a toxic relationship at the time, and I was struggling to get out of it. And I was kind of angry at myself because I thought, like, I should have known better. I should have known not to get into this situation, but still I did. And I happened to have a conversation with a friend about relationships and about how she and her husband went to couples therapy. So just got this idea about this couple therapist who should have known better. Out of all people, she should have known better, but she finds herself in a toxic relationship and she cannot figure out a way to help herself. But at the same time, she's helping other people with their own relationships. And I just really love that juxtaposition.
It's a really good idea, and I watched the trailer, and it seems like you are finding the balance between hitting the messages you want and the heavy aspects of it, but not making it so heavy the audience can't bear. There's a lot of comedy thrown in there.
Yes. Like couples therapy can go both ways. I think right now there's even this reality TV show that's called Couples Therapy, and I've only seen trailers, but it looks like very dramatic and they're going very deep, and that's great. But I think that it's a lot, I don't know, I find it better and a lot more fun to do it in a comedic background, to talk about all those problems and for the audience to have this moment of, oh my God, that's so me and my ex, or like, oh babe, that's so us. I just really like that. And through that, you learn a lot about relationships, but you do it in a fun and lightweight. And yes, at the same time I did, there were some dramatic moments, which I think are inevitable. But for the most part, it was about my character. I didn't want to make the couples relationships that heavy, at least not for the pilot.
That makes a lot of sense. And Rob, you're a producer on the project.
Yeah, I'm the executive producer. I'd gotten connected with Michaela actually at a wedding, ironically enough. I became ordained as a minister to marry two of our best friends who are in couples therapy. Well, one is. So Angela played the actress who's having the issue with her guy about who's giving the cat more treats. You might have seen it in the trailer. And then Angela's husband Randy actually directed the episode. So Michaela and I actually were just randomly seated at the same table, and we had kind of talked a little bit about the business and stuff, but just really just there to celebrate a wedding. And then,
we shared a cab home to Astoria.
Yeah, we shared the cab home to the same neighborhood. And then Randy, had come to me, and I think it was probably maybe a month and a half later, give or take. And he was like, hey, you remember Michaela from the wedding? She's got this really great story, and I'm interested in directing it. I'd love for you to come and produce it with us. And Randy and I, we had just worked on G-Spotters, which was his pilot the year before. So I said, all right, well, let's take a meeting and talk about, what the goals are and what Michaela's looking to do with it. And then, we met up, and then I read the script, and the script was the thing that for me, sold it. Just because I thought, again, like you guys were talking about, it's such a great balance of, dealing with, serious issues like relationships, romantic relationships, especially ones that are ending or in turmoil, but the balance of the comedy which is like so up my alley. I love that in shows, and I was just like, heck yeah, I'll definitely be a part of this, and it was a lot of fun.
So this might be a quick aside, but it sounds like you guys are a group of friends that are all in show business.
Yes.
Kinda.
Which is funny because like, yeah, I'm sorry, like I was gonna say we weren't a year ago, like this time, June 1st, we weren't, we didn't really know each other. I knew Randy and Angela, and Rob knew them obviously, but we didn't know each other. And within like in less than a year, we just like became so close and are this like collaborating team that is working so well together.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, I think one of the biggest takeaways I feel like I've had like in my career, which is I guess 18 plus years now, it'll be 20 years before you know it, is just, you know, when you get to collaborate and work with really great people, that's the thing that makes it worth it. You know, whether you're literally in college just starting out, you know, you've been in the business forever. I feel like most people that, you know, are successful and remain happy and don't get this sense of jadedness, the one through line is they've had a great group of collaborators around, you know, people that they've worked with since the beginning all the way up to present day. And that's, you know, that's what makes it great, because you're going through war together. You know what I mean? You're working these crazy days, you're hustling to get the project off the ground. You know, you're dealing with, you know, losing locations, sometimes having to recast the last minute. So you're sharing almost like this collective stress, which I feel like inevitably just brings you close. And it's just a great thing to be a part of.
It's a really cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
So did you do all the, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was saying absolutely. I agree.
Did you guys do all the filming and locations, everything all right in the city?
Yeah.
So location was, it was kind of like a struggle to find, but we ended up doing everything in Hoboken. The story behind it is that up until like 2 or 3 weeks before filming, we hadn't found a leading man. We held auditions and we found
so many auditions. The casting process was insane. How many people? And you know, sometimes you thought you found the right person, and then you see someone else. But anyway, please go on.
Yeah, so like we had held auditions, and we found the right actor for every role. It was amazing, but we just couldn't find the right leading man. And I asked Randy about the leading man on G-Spotters, which I had seen and I had loved. And I had actually kind of like been hinting to Randy, hey, how about your friend Ryan? But it just like the dates didn't work out in the beginning, but then we changed the dates and all that. So long story short, we ended up choosing Ryan Metcalf, and then we were looking for a location, and he offered his apartment, which is this great apartment in Hoboken.
Yeah.
And then we were supposed to film in Hoboken and Astoria because we have the bar scene. And I had booked this restaurant in Astoria, but that fell through a day before we started shooting, which was insane. So we were filming the first day in Hoboken, and while we were filming, Rob went out the streets looking for bars in Hoboken, and he managed to find the perfect location for us.
Yeah, we got really lucky actually. It was like one of those like happy accidents, because unlike the other place where I feel like it was a little bit more restrictive, they were like, yeah, just go film, no problem. They're like, you have insurance? Like, I'm like, we do. And they were like, good, you're fine. And it was a bar that actually had 2 bars. So like the bar that we actually shot in was like probably like their smaller bar, maybe, where like they hold parties and stuff, still big. So they literally held everything open while we shot on the other side, and you couldn't hear anything. It was just like, I think we were actually way luckier that happened. It was like a happy accident.
Right.
Yes,
yeah.
I remember Rob saying like the film gods are looking after us, because this was just such a happy accident. And Rob was so amazing, like just scouting the streets to help get the project and get that bar scene right. So this is the story of how we ended up filming the whole thing in Hoboken.
Yeah.
It's probably a lot easier to have your locations relatively close instead of everyone having to get on a train or take cabs or cars in.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. So much easier, cheaper. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like when you first start, you know, I feel like when you first start as a younger filmmaker, you know, you think to yourself, okay, you know, we'll shoot half the day in Staten Island, then we'll do the other half in Astoria, and then we'll go back to Staten Island at the end of the day. And like, you know, until your brain gets trained to really think about logistics and how every time, you know, you do one entire company move from one location to another, you're packing up at least 45 minutes to an hour just to pack everything up, to break down the lights, put everything together, load it onto a truck or in your car, your van, etc. Then drive to that next location, possibly getting stuck in traffic along the way. Your car could break down, who knows what. Then if you finally do make it to set, then you have to unload all that equipment, you know? And that's the thing, is that even for myself, it took me a while, I feel like in the beginning of my career, to really like be able to think like that, right? Especially when like you're planning out a day. But yeah, it was just amazing because everything was in Hoboken. We never had to make that company move all the way back to Queens. Like, and Ryan's apartment, which doubled as Michaela's office slash apartment, that was also like where we held everybody. So, and then this bar was like 2 blocks away. So
Oh,
it was just really, it was really awesome.
Yeah.
This is kind of going out of order, but you guys have mentioned a couple of times when you first started and things you've learned along the way. How did you get into show business, each of you?
Well, I'm an actor. I've been acting since I was 18, pretty much. I'm originally from Greece. I finished drama school in Greece, and while I was in drama school, I did a lot of theater. And then as soon as I finished drama school, I jumped on a plane and moved to New York. And because I wanted to focus more on camera work, which we don't have a lot in Greece. So yeah, ever since my move to New York, I've been focused mostly on camera, like, you know, web series, short films, student films, etc. And then somewhere along the way, I discovered my passion for screenwriting, and that was followed by filmmaking, which led to me now calling myself a filmmaker and a screenwriter, as well as an actor. So it's been like an over 12-year journey in total, of me being in the business in one way or another, or in one country or another.
Right.
I guess I sort of began probably young-ish. I mean, I know I was always super energetic and had like a ton of problems paying attention, especially the things that I wasn't interested in school. So my teachers were always just like telling my parents, like, or my mom, you know, he's got a lot of energy. Like, you got to find something to help him harness it, because he's just like all over the place. So my mom got me involved in this program at the local library. You know, I was like 8 years old. And it was kind of like, I guess, the start of my acting, if you will, because we would read stories and then act them aloud. And then I kind of, you know, after that, didn't really touch acting or anything in the entertainment industry probably till I got to college. And then that's when I took my first acting class. And it was just, it's hard to explain, but it's just like, it was the only thing I ever did that made sense. I was like, oh yeah, like this is my thing. Like, I'm not, like, I like sports, but you know, I wasn't really like super athletically inclined. Like, I wasn't going to be a professional athlete. Wasn't really a science guy, wasn't a math guy. So that wasn't going to be my route. And then when I started performing, I was like, wow, like, I think I'm pretty good at this. I had some professors that were like really encouraging me, like, hey, you got something, you know, you should stick with this, maybe pursue it. So, you know, out of there, I went to professional acting school, studied a little improv as well. And then, you know, it got to this place where, I don't know, again, like I've been doing it 18 years, probably about 15 years in. So let's say like a decade and a half, where like that frustration had really, you know, settled in, you know, a lot of like near misses of like, you know, going out for certain auditions, which would be career changers, you know, huge feature films, studio films, reoccurring roles on television shows, you know, just things that, you know, would take you from here to there. And at one point, my agent was like, we just don't really know why you're not getting in the room. We don't really know what to do with you. It's just, we don't know what's not working. And then, you know, actually one of the agents encouraged me and said, you know, hey, look, you've always shown kind of an interest in writing. Why don't you write? And then, yeah, I just did my first pilot, like I had some writing experience. Like, I'd done smaller films, like, you know, small scale stuff, but that was like the first time where I did like a full half-hour pilot. And, you know, kind of like Michaela, like a very similar story, just kept doing it and sticking with it, and was always like helping friends produce their projects. And, you know, I had been a showrunner's assistant on TV, so like I'd seen that side of things. And just, yeah, I found, you know, it felt so cool knowing that you can get the job done, in the sense where like people can talk about an idea and you're like, but yeah, like I can go now and execute this, right? I understand how to maintain a budget, you know, I understand the ins and outs of casting. I know how to acquire insurance and permitting and how to lock in those locations, how to deal when you lose a location the day before, just learning to be resourceful. And you know, at the end of the day, it was like the, like I said, like the game changing thing in my career, because I knew forever I never had to wait around. And like that to me was the coolest part, saying, okay, if we have a project, we're gonna have to scrape together some money, or, you know, do a crowdfunding campaign or whatever it is. But, you know, now we can put together the team and put together the pieces and just make it happen. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and to
that's my story.
piggyback on that, I feel like, you know, as an actor, sometimes you get so creatively and artistically starved because the roles are not coming in, or you have to take roles that are not so interesting, or they're like, you know, pigeonholing you or stereotyping you, especially as a woman. And you're just not being fulfilled because, you know, most of us got into acting because we love it and we love telling great stories and we like, you know, giving a voice to very interesting and impactful characters, but those roles are just not coming. I don't, like, they're not enough for everyone, or they're not being written. So being a creator as well as an actor is just this amazing way to give yourself, like, to be creative and to give yourself an outlet to express yourself artistically and feed your artist's soul, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
absolutely.
Sure. And we're in a great time for that now too, because I'm sure you guys have seen it since you first started to now, with the accessibility of the technology and the distribution on yourself. I mean, you could throw your series up on YouTube and you could get tons of people watching it if you had to. It's
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
great time to be a writer. I feel like really more than any other time, maybe in the history of our industry, because you know, I think someone had explained this to me. They said, you know, and I think it was around 2005 or around that time, but YouTube and the Canon 5D, which was like, let's say, almost like the first cinema camera, right, that people really started using more and professionally, they both came out the same year, right? So it was like this perfect storm of like, okay,
meant
now
to
you have a
be.
place where you can put the content. Now you have something where you can shoot the content. So where's the excuse? There is none anymore. And you know, obviously, like, you know, you have the bigs, like you have like your network TV, your cable, you have your streaming, but there are, and I tell people this all the time, there are a ton of, you know, let's just say maybe lesser known streaming services. There's things like Here TV, you know, just that one, for example, focuses more on LGBTQ plus content, and they get millions of viewers. So like, there's so many places to get your stuff out there. And I think that's just like what's so cool, because like, you know, Michaela, like we talk about this all the time, like when we're having coffee or just thinking about this process. It's like, even though we've been doing it for a while, you're like, man, like, look, we actually got to make something. And then you get to put it out there and you get to share it with people and you get to hear their feedback. You know, we're lucky in that sense. I really feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
Speaking of sharing it and getting it out there, you guys are in Seriesvest now, which I guess is the sixth year they've run this.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
How did
Yeah,
that come about?
well, it's definitely like a huge win for the show. It's a very highly prestigious festival this year. It's collaborating with South by Southwest and Shondaland and HBO, amongst other amazing production companies and networks. I had heard about the festival from Seriesvest alumna, which is Sonia O'Hara. She had her own project premiere there, Doomsday, and it went really well. And her whole career has blown off right now, by the way. So it's definitely a very like impactful um, festival, and we're really excited to be there, to be a part of it. This year is going virtual, so we're excited to see how that goes. But yeah, we're super excited about the official selection. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Michaela when we first, you know, when we first started collaborating on the project, and then, you know, when we had gotten done shooting, we were kind of, you know, getting into like, let's say, a rough cut of the pilot. We started thinking about, okay, what about next steps? And we sat down. I remember we talked about festivals, and you know, you have maybe your five to six really top tier, challenging, extremely competitive festivals to get into. Seriesvest was one of them. So when we got into that, I was just so happy because I had tried with two other pilots before to get into Seriesvest, and we didn't get in. It's really hard. I mean, I think they accept 20 episodics maybe, I think, in the whole thing. So think about that's out of any country,
Oh,
any
yeah, it's
state,
worldwide. Yeah.
it's worldwide. So it's just awesome because it's like you feel like, okay, I know we're doing something right? Like as a team, we're we're like a really tiny little collective. But yeah, if you work hard, you put together a good story, you have the right actors, and again, all those pieces, you put them together, it can get recognized, it can find its audience. So I'm so excited for Seriesvest. It's going to be great.
And that is, I believe, what was it, the 14th to the 18th?
Yeah, it's
I think
up.
it's 18th till the 22nd or
Sorry
24th, around there. Yeah.
And do you know, is this something like, could we put it out to our listeners that they could check out your pilot during the festival, or?
Yes, absolutely. So I believe Seriesfest hasn't officially announced a schedule yet, probably because it's virtual this year, so they're dealing with a lot of new parameters. But if people go on their website at seriesfest.com, they're on social media as well, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They constantly update their audience about any news. So once the program is out, people will be able to buy a pass, whether just to see a specific category of shows, like we are in the comedic pilot category, or a general pass to view the entire festival and do all the Q&As and panel discussions, etc. But yeah, those will definitely be available. And I think that's actually a great opportunity because me being from Greece and having a lot of, Greek friends and European friends, a lot of them have been asking me, where can I see it? And I tell them I can't release it online because, we're doing the festival circuit, but now they can purchase a ticket and watch it. I can finally tell them, here, you can watch the episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like, it's been challenging, this year again with not being able to go in person, but like Michaela said, that here's the cool part: people that maybe would not have been able to fly, let's say to Colorado for Seriesvest, or New York, or etc., or LA. Now you can just tune in at home. So I think it's a really cool benefit now. So we can all kind of watch it together, and who knows, have our own little Zoom discussion. But all these festivals, they're working so hard, to really adhere to the safety and health guidelines. It's super important. But, also making sure that we have meetings like this on Zoom where we're able to connect with one another and network and talk about, what each of us has going on, possibly collaborate, as well as also too, the different panels and whatnot, just making that accessible to people. It's a great time to be a creator because, there's so many amazing, wonderful people, not just those who are as a part of Seriesvest, but there's television showrunners now, movie screenwriters, people that normally wouldn't do a webinar, they're doing them constantly now. So I think that for me is really one of the, say, benefits of all this craziness, is that the access to knowledge has just grown exponentially.
I was going to ask if that had any hand in your, maybe not this series, but your current ongoing or future projects. Because while we're all stuck in quarantine, you might be able to do, say, pitch meetings that you would have to normally fly out for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like people ask a lot, even though a lot of my friends are in the industry, in my neighborhood, most aren't. I'm probably one of a handful, with Michaela, a few other people. I mean, obviously production is all but shut down, right? Nobody's going out and shooting, but that's, again, the benefit of being a writer, because literally all you need is this. You just need your laptop. You don't even need a Wi-Fi connection to do it. And the thing is, too, is because production has been so halted, the buyers, they're looking for content constantly. So I've had probably more pitch meetings during the pandemic than I feel like I had all of the last quarter of 2019. So, the opportunities are out there. They're a little different. They're a little unorthodox, again, pitching over a Zoom as opposed to coming in person. But, you just make the best of it because we're all just figuring it out together.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a bad silver lining.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I don't want to eat up your whole day.
No, we appreciate it.
You're fine. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
there
thank you.
anything you want to point people to? I mean, obviously, we'll put in a link for Seriesvest and for the couples therapy website. Maybe other projects or.
Well, just if they want to follow us on social, we're on Twitter at Couples Therapy TV, same handle in Instagram and Facebook. Rob, if you want to talk about your projects or.
Yeah, I guess like one in particular, I think it's really timely right now. So my writing partner and I got brought on to write the biopic for James Armistead. And it's just a really poignant figure to be writing about. So for anyone that doesn't know James Armistead, he was a forgotten founding father. He was an African-American slave that became a double agent for the colonial army. And he's all been whitewashed from history books. Like most people don't even know about him. I feel like people that know I'm working on this project, 50% have never heard of him, and 50% are like, wow, it's about time. But, I think the cool and special thing about it is, you're going to see how Marquis de Lafayette and James Armistead had to come together, right? You have this French nobleman, and you have a guy who is an African-American slave, and they changed the course of history together. And, like my heart breaks with everything that's going on right now. And I've been like, very emotional. Like today I had a really hard day with everything that's going on. I think like emotions hit me in waves, because I work in a very emotional atmosphere. But it makes me feel happy because I don't know how many times in your lifetime do you get to say you're working on something that can leave the world a little better than what you came in. So that's just something I'm really proud to be a part of. And I'm looking forward when it gets out there. So yeah.
That's a very cool sounding project.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's a lot of work, a lot of history, but it's been amazing so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again, both of you, and good luck with everything, and good luck with couples therapy. The trailer's really, really solid. I'm definitely going to direct people to Seriesvest.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
Stay happy, healthy, and safe out there.
Yes, likewise, for sure.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Take care.
Yeah, have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.